Thank you for watching this Last Mile Profits video. The second part of our Crystal Ball trilogy for 2026 looks at players. Keep watching to find out more. Last Mile Profits is brought to you by Parcel Pending by Quadient. Gary, we got so excited by the topic of technology that we sort of overran, and I realized that we're probably going to have about 3 episodes talking about what's going to be happening in 2026 in our industry. We've got technology, the AI bubble or not bubble behind us. Let's talk a bit now about consolidation in the industry. Who are the players? Who's going to be coming in? Who's going to be moving out? Because I think some big things are going to be happening.
By that, do you mean the carrier players or the locker players or a bit of both?
Well, I think for me, carriers above it all. So the carriers that can be a carrier to door, to locker, and, the big players in our industry. So there's going to be posts, carriers, etc. Are you going to kick off or shall I?
Well, I was going to say, in terms of like trying to hold a mental map of what this picture looks like, I think there's kind of, you can almost divide it into 3. You've got Amazon, who are either your biggest customer or used to be your biggest customer, depending on which market you're in, as they build out their own carrier and their own infrastructure. Then you've got InPost, which are either already a big competitor or they're going to be a big competitor to you soon. And then I know it's a bizarre thing, but you can almost bundle everybody else in as the rest, the traditional carrier, the post and everything else. Now, I've not done that in terms of summaries, but just in terms of the positioning and who competes with who.
I would modify that a little bit in the sense that, you have got Amazon. Amazon are special because despite the fact they say sometimes they're opening up, it's actually a closed network doing its own thing. And I don't believe Amazon will ever seek to take over 100% of the market because they've always got to have the backup. So, even markets like the UK where they're very strong or the US, they still farm out a lot of business to third parties just in case things go wrong. It's not unheard of, for example, to have a strike at Amazon. So I think they're a special case. I would put a few other players in that basket. You've got regional, let's call them Me Too's, like Allegro One in Poland and Czech Republic. You've got Same Day, which is part of eMag, which is a big e-commerce group in Southeastern Europe. We've got, now this is the really big one that I wanted to talk about. We've got the Chinese. In the same way that you have Amazon in the Western Hemisphere, historically you've had Cainiao, which is the Alibaba logistics arm. You've got the logistics arm of JD.com. And you've got actually a third carrier that's not really in the same group, but I'll put it in because it's Chinese, and that's SF Express. And honestly, for me, if I were to choose the one big thing that I expect to happen in 2026, maybe I should call it the year of the dragon, I think it's going to be the Chinese coming.
And that's it, they're not already here. No, I agree. And whether they start to go direct. And again, this is the Amazon model again. They are the biggest customer of a number of carriers across Europe. So every in the UK have had a very strong China strategy for a number of years, led by John Sansby, bringing in tens or hundreds of millions of parcels a year direct from China.
Which, by the way, Gary, I just jumped in. That's really smart because, this is a domestic UK business that's been hived off from I would say pan-European, but a large European business. And this is really smart that they've been able to create that situation. Probably Brexit helped because the UK is, in a way, a specific case. But that's really cool that, in the face of having players with an international footprint like DHL, Geopost DPD, it's pretty cool that they were able to do this.
It's extremely cool. But at what point do one of these Chinese players say, well, actually, I've got 300 million going into that country now. I've probably got the density to do my own delivery. Or actually, that country's got an established locker network or a good PUDO network. I could actually cut out home delivery, do a smaller infrastructure play in terms of carrier, and just do PUDO and lockers in a market and remove somebody in the supply chains. It's a classic McKinsey plays where, I just tape that middle layer out and make my journey a little bit more direct. And that could be in the minds of the Chinese. Who knows?
Well, and I'm pleased that you mentioned that. So I can actually, my crystal ball says that we're going to have a mix of various things. Probably there are going to be more partnerships at the beginning. There are going to be some acquisitions. And, if you look at what's happening now, JD.com are investing left, right and center. Not so much in the Courier Express parcel business, but things like MediaMarkt Saturn, which is for those of you who are not from our part of the world, it's a big white goods retail network.
It's PC World if you're British, or Comet as it used to be if you're as old as I am. So it's where you go for your TV, toaster, kettle, mobile phone, etc.
So I think, the Chinese are prepared to put money where their mouth is. I think they see Europe as not just an opportunity, but given what's happening across the pond, as a necessity. So, let's watch this space. I think there's going to be partnerships, there's going to be acquisitions, there's going to be greenfield development. So we've covered, the Chinese, we've covered Amazon at Alta, and then maybe the final piece is going to be general consolidation, because I reckon, particularly in the out-of-home space, it's got to happen. You cannot have these individual fiefdoms.
No, and I think that might be driven by host locations, not wanting a rainbow street of lockers down the side of their shop. It might be driven by local authorities, by local government, who says you're cluttering up my pavement and making my town look like a NASCAR or a Formula One car with a number of logos on the side of stuff everywhere. It could all sorts of drivers, or it could be economic, where it says, well, look, you've got 4 lockers here, 2 of them are full, 2 of them are half full. There needs to be something to change. Back to your favoured model of potentially all the parcels going to one location, and then somebody doing this mass filling of lockers. Yeah, I think the landscape I think it'll be unrecognisable in 5 years' time, and we might see that change starting next year.
Well, so it looks like we agree, Gary. Let's see what our audience thinks. So please, if you think we've missed anything, then, do drop a comment below. Tell us what we've missed. And because, again, this was another bumper episode, let's leave the third one. We'll have a trilogy. And the third one's going to be talking about, so we've talked about the technology, we've talked about the players. The next one will be about segments.
Yep, looking forward to it.
Gary, I was looking at the subscriptions and realized that a huge number of our audience actually don't subscribe to watch our videos.
Really? That's outrageous. It's a bit like watching the BBC without your TV license. How can we keep it free if people aren't subscribing and letting us know they want more of this content? It's ridiculous.
And on top of that, if they're not subscribed, they don't get information about the latest hot episode where you can make one of your witty jokes and we can talk about something that is really important for our industry.
If I knew that a single act like that would make sure I got maximum time taking the mickey out of you, I'd be hitting subscribe in a heartbeat.
Well, look, so here we have it. Please, everyone, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is your opportunity. Click right now. The button should be there, or maybe there. Do it now and have it done.